What is going on, everybody? I am back with another Prizepicks WNBA player props video. This one going to be breaking it down, giving you guys a 6-pick flex that I did just lock in, that I did send over to my VIP members. Going to be breaking down the process, the same exact process that went into these picks that you're seeing on the screen last night for my WNBA action. I got some fantasy score props that I really do like here today. Again, you see the results on the screen, 5 for 6, man. Jackie Young she couldn't make anything in the first quarter and then popped off in the second quarter. So that stunk. But overall, the process was fantastic. We'll be breaking down the exact same process that went into these picks with some more fantasy score props here today. Not only did we get this double up on Prizepicks, but we also cashed in over on Underdog Fantasy. So if you don't have Underdog Fantasy, guys, check them out too, because these picks will apply to Underdog Fantasy. You can get a deposit match with my promo code KJKDFS up to $100 on Prizepicks. And if you head to Underdog Fantasy as well, they're going to match you up to $100 with the promo code KJKDFS. And like I said, they have the same exact fantasy scoring format as Prizepicks when it comes to WNBA fantasy scoring. So if you see that those props are posted on the board, these free picks should help you out over there as well. This was our big hitter. They pay out 6x for 3-pick entries on Underdog Fantasy. So 3-pick entries are fantastic over there. They only pay out 5x for 3-pick entries on Prizepicks. So if you're someone that likes to play a smaller amount of picks, for instance, you like the 3 picks over the 6 picks kind of thing, Underdog Fantasy is going to be where you want to go ASAP. Once again, my link will be below in the description, and they'll match you with that deposit match. If you go to my YouTube community page, you're going to see I had a bunch of winners over there. Do want to give some shout outs to the VIP guys. If you haven't signed up, you need to sign up ASAP. Once again, it's not just Prizepicks over there. The amount of value in this package is insane. We had a bunch of winners over in the winner circle last night. Like I said, the Underdog Fantasy was the big hitter for us. So $30 win for BMW Trey. Eros with a $150 win here. Shaq Garner hopping in the Discord. I think a new member cashing in with those WNBA picks. We had Sheesh 2 Drippy mixing the WNBA picks with some hockey picks. BA cashing in with a nice full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flex cash. Shout out to you. And then a lot of people in the winner circle bitter about the Jackie Young performance, myself included. She has cost us 2 sweeps in, I believe, the last 2 weeks, in a very similar story here. But DREC44, shout out to you, my man. He mixed the 2 tickets that I promoted on the channel. The McCowan rebounds, the Monique Billings rebounds props. If you tuned into my video yesterday, he went ahead and he mixed those props that I had in that ticket with some other WNBA picks, turned 20 into 500. So you're not only getting my exact tickets, you're getting all my plays. You can mix and match. You can use them on any single app that you'd like, and optimal slip types. So you see, I always mention what I would suggest for long-term return on investment. Underdog Fantasy's made a little bit of some changes to their app. Like I said, they didn't have the flex option until recently. So I've always been rocking with the 3-pick standard entries. There's been a few changes over there, but it's a fantastic app still for those 3 picks, which I like to take advantage of. So I have to give them a shout out. Once again, promo code KJKDFS over there, promo code KJKDFS on Prizepicks is going to get you that $100 deposit match. So all the plays we're about to go over right now, if you can get them at a better line or a similar line on Underdog Fantasy, they will apply, okay? Just because it's the same exact fantasy scoring format, and we're going to be discussing all fantasy score props here on the channel today. So without further ado, guys, let's get into the breakdown here. Let's explain exactly what goes into my process of these plays. And I got 6 for you here on this slate today. So once again, up to $100, KJKDFS. Take advantage of that offer, and let's break it down. Marina Mabrey will be the first lady we'd like to discuss here with a 28.5 fantasy score. If you tuned into my video yesterday, you heard me talk about a concept of positive correlation, taking unders and overs on the same team. If we can find good value in props of players on the same team, where we like an over on a player, an under on a player, it sometimes can be helpful because they're on the same team. Only certain players can put the ball in the hoop, rebound the basketball, assist, etc. So if you expect a certain player to do a lot of that and another player to not do so much, it can benefit your entire 6-pick entry. It's a pretty simple concept, but Marina Mabrey is going to be the first one we're talking about. She's taking on the Washington Mystics. They have been very tough against the opposing guard position. It's not going to be a pretty matchup for her. Taking on the defensive Samuelson, Atkins, Van Vleet up top for guards. Mabry's usage is heavy. However, I do have her going under here tonight with a 28.5 line. We go ahead and we break down her as far as how she contributes. The Prizepicks fantasy scoring format, I pulled it up at the beginning of the video on Underdog Fantasy, but for those of you that may have missed it, this is how it's going to break down for us, right? All of these projections that I discuss, all of these concepts that I discuss are relating to this fantasy scoring format. 1 point for every point they score, 1.2 for every rebound they capture, 1.5 for every assist they drop, and 3 points for the blocks, the steals, and then you get -1 for the turnovers. So being that we're taking her under, we don't want her to be getting any points, rebounds, assists, blocks, or steals. We want her to be getting a lot of turnovers. That'd be the best way for us to hit the under here for Marina Mabry, right? Simple concept. But you can see on the season, she does a really good job of scoring the basketball mainly. She is the point guard, so she does some dimes. She's pretty well-rounded, but she doesn't really rack up too many blocks and steals typically. She had a game last game where she got 3 blocks and 1 steal. That is certainly an outlier game. She's the point guard here. She's not going to be getting 3 blocks every game, I can tell you that much. Look at the times prior, 0, 0, 0, 0. So that was a quick 9 fantasy points that she racked up last time. Don't expect that to happen here again tonight. And then, like I said, when I talk about projections, right, we're factoring in minutes, fantasy point per minute production. Everything is relating to this fantasy scoring format. I have advanced software. Another reason if you just pay for the VIP for $49.99 a month, I'm paying thousands of dollars of software a year, guys, for all of these things that I discuss. But we can go ahead and we break down the projected minutes for this roster. See, Mabry's going to lead the way with 33. Nothing crazy. Then you got Reese, Evans, Cardoso, and Shields. So this is all factored in to the projections. She's going to play 33 minutes. I still have her going under, namely because of this matchup. The Washington Mystics have been very difficult on opposing guards. They're only allowing 30 fantasy points per game, only 4 assists, only 5 field goals to be made. All right, so with all of these things factored in, we go ahead and we pull up where Prizepicks has her priced at this 28.5 line. I've got her getting in the lower 20s. So these picks that we're going to discuss throughout this 6-pick flex, I've got them all about 5 fantasy points or more off, which is a big deal. For those of you that are new to this, it might not seem like a big deal. But the Prizepicks is really good at setting these lines. And like I said, I've found some really good edge in these fantasy score props. My projections compared to what Prizepicks has been pricing them at. Like last night, my VIP play of the day was the Asia Wilson fantasy score. I had her projected for 62, 63. She ended with 59. But like 54.5 compared to like 60 is a big deal on these apps. So when I say like they're like 5 off, if you're listening, it's like, oh, that's barely anything. Well, yeah, it is barely anything because they're going to set these lines really sharp and on point. So it's our job to find any sort of edge we can get on either the over or the under. And Mabry is in that category tonight. Okay, so like I said, how these projections work, guys, I've got her in the lower 20s. She's in the upper 20s. When we're talking projection and all these things I talk about, right? So a good example is Jackie Young last night. As you can see, I took her under 32.5. She ended with 49. So she went way over. So it's like, what is this guy doing? I mean, you see the results. I got 5 of the 6 correct. So clearly the process was on point. It was just one pick that went wrong. But what happens is there's a median projection right in the middle. That's where we're projecting them on average to score. And then a player has a ceiling and a floor. A floor is their worst possible game possible. A ceiling is their best possible game possible. And then the median projection is right in the middle. So when we're breaking down these projections, all these things I'm talking about, where I've got them projected, what I'm doing is I'm factoring in the matchup, the minutes, everything under the sun here, putting it into a projection system here and giving us a median projection. All right? So you can see the picks went well overall, but Jackie Young went way over. So if that happens, it's like, what the heck is this guy talking about? But you have to understand that's how these projections work, okay? So Mabry, if she's going to have a terrible game right now, I've got her floor all the way down to like 20, but her ceiling, if she really pops off, is all the way up to like 40 fantasy points. So hopefully that makes sense. But we're talking right in the middle. We're factoring in the matchup, the minutes, everything, her fantasy point production, and I've got her getting in the lower 20s, all right? Because Washington's so brutal on the guard position. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's going to apply to every single one of these plays that we're going to discuss here. This is the full 6-pick flex, so we'll keep chugging along here. The next play is going to be Camila Cordorso here with the under 25.5 fantasy points. Once again, all these players are on the same team for Chicago. And I like the over on Angel Reese, who we'll get to shortly here. So if we want Angel Reese to go out there and put up a big game here at the forward position, she's going to be taking all the rebounds, scoring all the buckets away from Cardoso at the center position. So I talked about those projected minutes. If we look at the minutes as of late, Diamond Shields also did just return for the Chicago Sky team, which I do think is going to cut into the usage of Marina Mabrey. That's one thing I didn't bring up. The Shields is a guard, so she's going to take away from some usage from Dana Evans and Dana Evans and Marina Mabrey. I'm much less concerned about her taking away usage from these two and Angel Reese and Cordorso, but if we're having Angel Reese go over here, we're going to need here to steal all those rebounds and the production away from Cardoso, who I do have projected going under here. Again, she's at 25.5. I'm not going to lie, I got her going way under this. She saw the most amount of minutes she's seen all season last game. Went out there and played 30 minutes. Elizabeth Williams went down with an injury 3 games ago. So we saw Cardoso get all the way up to 30, but she only played 21, 15, 12 the time prior. I don't know how consistent this 30 minutes is going to be. I don't see her getting up to 30 every single game. We're going to be finding out here. But even with that factored in, like I said, we can pull up the exact minutes I've got her projected. 23 minutes. So when I'm talking about these projections, once again, my projections are not quite as bullish on her minutes upside here. They're saying like she's only going to play probably in the lower 20s here. And with all that being said, I've got her going pretty significantly under here, man. I mean, I'll be honest, I got her getting in the teens, like 18. She's averaging 16.4 over the last 5, so it just doesn't quite add up here. And she also had a big block game last time, which we talk about the Prizepicks fantasy score format. You'll hear me talk about it. The 3 points for the blocks and steals is crazy. So she got 3 blocks. She played the most amount of minutes. Time prior, 0 blocks, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 0 steals, 1 block, 0 steals. So once again, that's 9 fantasy points that she would not have gotten had she not got those blocks. I think it was a bit of a ceiling game for her. And I've got her ceiling, honestly, like at her projection right now. So we talked about Marina Mabrey's ceiling's way over. This particular prop, you know, projections are still catching up to her minutes, kind of increasing and stuff in a new role. But it really just doesn't make sense to me here. You got to take the under, in my opinion, here for pick number 2. And then once again, we're correlating this with the over of Angel Reese, who I do have going way over her projection here tonight. At the 4 position, she's the rookie, one of the most talented players in the entire WNBA. She has been racking up steals like crazy. She's one of the top steals players in the entire WNBA. If we go ahead and pull up the top leaders in steal metrics, she's got a 2.7% steal metric, accounting for the percentage of opponents' plays where the ball was stolen. So 2.7% of the time she's getting those steals. That ranks 7th best in the entire WNBA. If we just look at her steals per game on the season, she ranks 6th best in the WNBA with 2.1 steals per game. So she's getting a lot of steals. I'm sorry, she gets the 1.9 steals per game. But anyways, it's all going to be reflected in the game logs here. We can pull it up. But her fantasy score prop is too low. We talked about how I have those ladies going under by quite a bit. I've got Reese getting all the way up in the upper 30. She's averaging 36.3 over her last 5. I've got her going out there and getting like 38 tonight, which once again, like 5 points off. It's crazy. I covered the WNBA. I covered the NBA. The NBA fantasy scores have tended to be a little bit more on point than the WNBA ones I've found here. I'm thinking we're getting some pretty good edge. Like I said, it's the same process that went into these picks, right? And these all crushed. So outside of the young pick, everything I'm discussing for projection, projected minutes, etc., is going into this, okay? Reese. Let's go ahead and pull her game logs up here. I can see 2 steals, 5 steals, 5 steals. That is literally 15 fantasy points off steals. That's insane. And then she's going to get buckets and rebounds. That's what she does. She's a big forward. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 13 points, 13 rebounds, 16 points, 11 rebounds, 13 rebounds, 8 points. I mean, she's pretty much putting up a double-double a game as of late. And then those blocks and steals. The one thing we don't want to see from her is these 4 and 3 turnovers that she's had the last couple times out. But if she can keep those down, she is once again in my models projected to clear this line by a very significant amount. So Those are going to be the first three, all in the Chicago sky, right? So we're aiming for Reese to really have the most of the production and Marina Mabrey and Cardoso to kind of take a back seat here, right? That's all factored in the projection, the matchups, everything that I discussed, right? That's the Washington Mystics are really tough on guards. That's going to be put into my projection system, and it's going to make Marina Mabrey's projection not appear as high. Hopefully that makes sense. So we're hoping for a big game from Reese. Cardoso, maybe we're going to take their unders, all on the same team for the Chicago Sky team. As far as the projected over-unders in this game, it's a 158.5 over-under with a 3-point spread in favor of Chicago in this game, so it's expected to stay close. This next game, there's a 13.5-point spread in favor of the Lynx. So we're looking at a possible blowout here according to the Vegas data, but once again, have two players I have going over by a pretty sizable margin and another player I have going under on the same team, so we can take advantage of that. Hope they soak up all the production. Well, we took 2 unders and 1 over in this last one. This next one, we're going to be taking 2 overs and 1 under. So the 2 overs I like is going to be McBride and Alana Smith. Have both them going over here tonight. They've been crushing their fantasy score props pretty consistently here, and it all makes sense to me. Like McBride at 28.5 is simply too low. We can go ahead and look at the projected minutes for this team tonight. McBride's going to play 35. Collier's going to play 35. And then you got Alana Smith and Carlton coming in with the 29 minutes apiece. So it's a really solid rotation as far as the predictability here. It's going to be Williams, Carlton, Smith, McBride, Collier. We kind of know this, right? Now, McBride and Smith, once again, if we look at their fantasy scores, I mean, 28.5 for McBride. She's been going over this very consistently. I've got her in the mid-30s, and the same thing is going to be said here for Alana Smith. I've got her in the mid-30s. Alana Smith, I keep talking about her on the channel. I think she's flopped every time I've promoted her, which is quite annoying because I brought her up at the beginning of the season just saying how many steals and blocks she gets. Like, it's insane. So we can break down just how these two are producing their fantasy points, right? So McBride's the point guard. You can see those 8 dimes last time out, 16 points, 32 points, 25 points. She can really score the basketball. And then those steals, the two steals at the guard position, she's really going to contribute in those. 3 steals time prior, 3 steals time prior. Rebounds, you know, we're not going to be getting too many of those out of her. It's just she's at the point guard position. So it's going to be the points, the assists, and those steals that can really add up quick for her. And then Alana Smith, the blocks and steals are just off the chart for her. So you'll hear me talk about this all the time, man. Like Asia Wilson last night, like I said, was my play of the day. She gets a ton of blocks and steals. That's all factored into my projection. She ended the game with 2 blocks, 1 steals. That's 9 fantasy points right there. Not even having to do anything else as far as the scoring, all that stuff, right? So I want to be targeting players with steal and block upside as much as possible when I'm taking overs. And ideally, if I'm taking unders, I really don't want the player to get blocks and steals, which is going to be a little bit dicey on the Collier play. We don't like her. She does get a lot of blocks and steals, but anywho. Smith, very well-rounded. 18 points, 1 block, 1 steal, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. 7 points, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 7 assists, 3 rebounds. Like, she just absolutely stuffs the stat sheet, man, with the blocks and steals, the points, and then she can pass the basketball and rebound the basketball. So I love targeting her fantasy score. It seems like I've always got her projected over. I really hope she doesn't let us down or get in foul trouble. That's the only thing that can happen with her. But you just got to attack it with where the line's set. You can see McBride's gone over for the last 5. These charts mean nothing to me, man. But I will say in this case with these two, they are kind of reflecting like they've been producing more in the mid-30s. So McBride falls under that umbrella. Alana Smith falls under that umbrella. I've got them both projected to get like 35. And then last but not least, we're taking the under on Nafisa Collier, who I think continues to have her line 2 inflated. She has a massive ceiling. So I'm just going to get that out of the way right now. Like the thing that happened last night with Jackie Young of dropping 50, I mean, she is capable. So I'll get that out of the way. I think I've covered these concepts of projections and ceiling and floor very well throughout this video to give you an idea so that if they end up going over by like 70 or something, you know, I obviously really like these plays, but we're targeting it based on median projection. You got to understand these concepts or else you're going to drive yourself crazy. But anywho, when it comes to Collier, another matchup that's brutal. These Sparks have been very tough on opposing bigs, and it makes sense because they just added the Defensive Player of the Year, Cameron Brink, up from college, down low. Jackson around the rim. Derek Hamby's a good defender. So there's going to be a lot of attention on Collier. She's the star player of this team. She's going to play a ton of minutes, but I do think her line is too inflated. I've got her projected to go out there and get right around 40. So once again, like, that's a big deal, man. That's 5 fantasy points off. It might not seem like a big deal if you're new to these apps, but they're really good at setting it. If you're getting like 5 points off, that's a huge deal. Her ceiling's all the way up into the 50s. That's why she's set at 46.5. I mean, she could literally pop off for like 70 fantasy points. She's a very good player, but median projection we've got under. We're also talking about all this positive correlation stuff, right? If we really want McBride and Smith to be taking over the usage. By the way, like they have, like if you look, Collier's gone under in the last 4, right? And then you got Smith, who's gone over in the last 4, and McBride, who's gone over in 3 of the last 4. It's pretty simple. They're all on the same team. McBride and Smith producing at a higher rate. Collier take a back seat. It's going to put us in good position to sweep this ticket. So that's going to be my full 6-pick flex that I'm sharing with you guys on the channel. Once again, all these projections, these minutes, these blocks and steals, points, assists, metrics are all dialed in on the back end for these picks. Same process that went into these ones and the same process that's going into this 6-pick flex that I did lock in. As you can see, that I sent over to the VIP. If you want access to more of my picks as soon as I place them, guys, once again, it's not just Prizepicks, it's all of these different apps. You need to hop in the VIP as soon as possible. If you go to my YouTube community page and you see all these winning tickets in your life, how do I get these? I literally say in all these posts, gain access to all KJK DFS tickets as soon as they're placed with the link to my Patreon. So you can click on the link on pretty much any of my posts. And like I said, Underdog Fantasy was the big winner last night. These picks will apply over there as well with the fantasy scoring format. If you can find a better line over there on the fantasy score, feel free to lock them in on Underdog. Hopefully this video helped you out for free. I'll have more plays over there, so would love to have you join. Thanks for tuning in. Wishing you all the best of luck on your Prizepicks WNBA play props tonight, and we will see you in the next one.